Well, what's the holdup? Let's go. Make sure you don't break my helicopter. I just got it fixed. If anything happens to this baby, you'll be hammering out the dents yourself.
Alright, welcome back to the channel. You guys may think that this is kinda familiar, and it is. I am replaying the UN campaign.
Thank God we're airborne, and I was starting to think you were afraid of flying. Turn to heading 305 and fly over the water reservoir until the rivers join. Keep the international airport off your left side. And please try to avoid colliding with an airliner. Can't be too careful with the rookie at the controls.
Alright, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, you may think this is all very familiar, and it is because I'm actually replaying the Huey UN campaign mission 1, and my intention is to do the entire campaign. So, what he said, 305 he said? Yeah, I think he said 305. So I was supposed to play this campaign with my friend Pablo, or Paco as I often call him, and I was supposed to essentially showcase this campaign in its entirety in co-op with my friend, with multicrew. Because we were doing multicrew, it wouldn't make any sense for my co-pilot to speak, so I edited out all the co-pilot voice lines, all the voice lines from Pedro, and I replaced them with either silence or with other persons from an armor unit I'm part of. For example, Madrid, the ATC at the Madrid FARP was supposed to be one of my friends from that armor unit, and he was. I did several missions with him as Madrid. Now, what happened to the co-op campaign? Well, the thing is that Pablo lost his interest, and so as a result we stopped playing. We had an arrangement that we would do a single mission per week, or if we could not manage that, then at least a single mission per 2 weeks or something like that. Well, he lost interest and I didn't. I still wanted to fly, and I decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna fly. I'm just gonna do it by myself. And so here we are. So the plan is to play the entire campaign solo. It's not a difficult campaign, it's also not really a terribly interesting campaign, but I wanted to fly Huey. I wanted to fly this campaign in particular, and I'm not gonna stop just because Pablo stopped. So yeah, we're gonna do the entire campaign in solo mode, which is not a bad thing per se, because Pedro over here has some interesting voice lines. Now, in case you didn't understand that from the get-go, Pedro is a complete asshole. Supposedly the story in this campaign is that you're fresh out of the cadet school or something like that, and this is your first posting, this is your first deployment, and obviously you're a bit of a greenhorn, obviously you're a rookie, and Pablo, although he's experienced, he wants you to fly and do everything to gain the same amount of experience and to be a decent Huey pilot, because obviously we're in the war zone. It's not all out war like World War III, but we are in a war zone, and we'll need to be capable of running all the different mission profiles, anything from close air support to supply rounds to search and rescue. We'll even see we are even going to see naval ops, in the sense that we'll be required to land on a helipad on one of the frigates. I think it's an Arleigh Burke, but I could be mistaken. Now, because this campaign, and this is the free campaign, the starter campaign that comes with the UH-1 for free, right? So, because this campaign is catered towards rookies, it's not terribly interesting. It starts really slow. The first couple of missions are just supply runs and missions that are designed to help you become familiar with the Huey and become familiar with how to fly, which is a good thing, right? But they don't make for excellent watching content, so what I'll have to do sooner or later is I'm gonna have to edit the videos quite heavily. So I think this particular mission, for instance, is around 1 hour long, and what I'll have to do possibly is to chop it down to maybe 20 minutes, make sure I include every single piece of dialogue, and make sure I also include myself when I offer some quality commentary. So if I don't have to say anything, I'm just gonna fly in silence and I'm just gonna cut it out, because there's no point in showing you guys how to fly a UH-1 helicopter. It's not entertaining. Some people might find it interesting. They may think that, especially if they're not proficient with the bird, they may think that, okay, this is a good watch to understand how I'm supposed to fly it. But yeah, it's not terribly interesting.
Alright, Nugget. See the rivers joining up ahead? Turn left there to a heading of 280 and follow the river, and wave goodbye to Tbilisi.
I was about to say that I don't know if Pedro already told me to turn left, but it turns out he didn't. He did just now, so yeah, we are just casually going to follow his instructions and just fly where we need to fly. And right now, all we need to do is follow this little river. I say little, but it's actually a very sizable river. And again, I said that these missions are a little bit boring, but truth be told, this Caucasus sightseeing is kind of fun, and it's something that you'll realize you're missing a little bit later down the line, where you'll be occupied with more important matters, more combat missions and stuff. You'll realize that sometimes a small little transfer flight is all you need to scratch the itch.
Follow the river closely heading west, and don't get creative with the navigation. The last thing we need out here is to get lost because of you.
So yeah, there you see Pedro offering another pearl of wisdom. The first time I played through this campaign, I absolutely hated Pedro, and I still do. And actually, when I was editing the mission for the co-op, I realized that the triggers upon which his dialogue is based, they're not triggers that are tied to your performance. Like, you could be doing everything right, you could be flying the right heading and the right speed, etc, etc, and Pedro would still trash talk you because his dialogues are based on time, you know, how much time you've spent flying. Yeah, mostly I think it's time flying. So when you hear him complain, for example, that I'm being too slow, it's not that there is a trigger that says that if the player drops below 90 knots, for example, he's going to say that. No, even if you do 100 knots, he is still going to bitch, because that's the way he's been programmed. So that's a shame. That really is a shame. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I actually have a force feedback joystick and rudder pedals, but right now I'm not using them. Right now
the weather report promised us some tailwinds at altitude today. Let's take it up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet, but not any higher. I left my oxygen and fur coat behind.
Alright, you heard the man. Let's climb to 4,000, maybe a bit more. I was about to say that, yeah, I'm not using force feedback joystick, I'm not using rudder pedals. I'm gonna be completing this campaign in its entirety with just my Thrustmaster 1600 joystick and using the twist grip to do rudder. Why? Just as a challenge and to show you guys, to show anybody watching this video that you don't need expensive gear to have fun in DCS. Now will expensive gear make your life easier? It absolutely will. Especially rudder pedals. They are a game changer, especially for helicopters and warbirds. And force feedback joysticks are also a game changer for helicopters again because of the trim system, which I will analyze in one of my tutorial videos. But just because something is easier and more efficient, it doesn't make something else useless, and so you'll see me.
Rookie, are you going to keep us crawling along like a turtle the entire flight? Step on it. If I have to find my way to the O Club in the dead of night, you'll be delivering pizzas for the rest of your deployment, and not from a helicopter either.
Yeah, fuck you, Pedro. You see what I mean? I'm doing almost 100 knots and he's nagging. And he's nagging because he's programmed like this. It's not like I'm making a mistake. So, what an absolute fucking cunt he is. And yeah, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, everything is possible with cheaper controls, and I'm going to demonstrate that. You'll see me do absolutely everything with my cheap Thrustmaster 1600. So yeah, no force feedback, no rudder pedals, and because I'm not using force feedback, I'm also not using the trim system, because the trim system for non-force feedback joysticks, you know, spring-loaded joysticks, it's horrible. It really is horrible. I strongly recommend you never use it. Forget it exists. It's too inaccurate. It's too abrupt. There's a very good chance that you're gonna go diving or climbing erratically, and these kind of movements may result in the loss of your rotor, especially for the Huey. I don't know if the rotor in other helicopters is easier or more difficult to lose, but in the Huey, because of the semi-rigid rotor system, abrupt movements can actually break the rotor off, and of course without the rotor you'll just drop. There are no other lift creating devices available for helicopters. If you lose your rotor, that's it. And right now we can see that I'm slightly diving, I'm picking up speed as well, so finger pressures to correct everything. Because if I do this, for example, I'll start climbing instead. If I do this, I'll start diving, so we don't want that. We want simple finger pressure movements. Even if the helicopter is getting out of control, diving wildly, don't do that. Don't overcompensate, just bring it to heat slowly. Especially for missions like this where there's no hurry, nobody is rushing you. Just take the time to learn the helicopter, take the time to improve your flying. And I don't know if you guys dislike putting the effort in and dislike the grind, the time commitment, but truth be told, just like any other skill, you know, playing a musical instrument, drawing, I don't know, cooking, you know, just like any other sort of activity, working out, you know, trying to get buff or to lose weight, it's a grind. You need to make the time commitment. So in flying, whether you're flying the Huey or helicopters in general, or whether you're flying an F-16 or whatever, you require flight hours. You need flight hours. So don't complain, don't blame your gear, blame yourself and realize that you need to sit down and start flying. And don't just start flying like a moron. Try to actually improve your flying. Try to actually understand how flight works. I've got tutorials on my channel right now that you can use. I've shown you how flight is achieved. I've shown you why you lose or gain altitude, or why your turns are not flat. Use these videos, use this knowledge, or whatever other kinds of knowledge you've got access to, you know, from friends or from other videos. Use that knowledge and put some practice in. Put the flight hours. I've been flying the Huey since 2019. It's a journey, okay? It's a journey, and don't take it the wrong way. Don't think that this is boring or whatever. The journey is the beautiful thing. When you reach your destination and there's no more improvement to be made, you'll grow bored. You won't see the value in doing that anymore, and you'll want to try something else. Yeah, right. So like in the context of DCS, you may think that it's time to transition to a different module, and that's absolutely fine, but then you'll hop onto the Mi-8, for example, and you'll realize that the way it flies and the way it behaves is completely different to the Huey, and what you learned with the Huey isn't really that much applicable to the Mi-8, and then you'll have to start the grind all over again. You'll have to start putting flight hours all over again. Don't hate the grind. Don't hate the time commitment. Learn to love it. Learn to appreciate it. And learn how to commit to your goals. If you want to do something, if you want to lose weight, sit down, work your ass off, diet, lose weight. If you want to become a helicopter pilot, you know, be that in the game or in real life, you know, sit down, commit into it, dedicate yourself to it, and do it. Just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
This is Gory. Stay with the river for now. At the next big town, we'll turn right to a heading of 2A0 and follow another stream. Can't you fly a little smoother? My ass is about to fall off and my head feels like I'm having a bad hangover. Jeez.
I'm sorry, Sir Pedro. I'll try to do better. Cunt. Look at that. The Caucasus Mountains. Beautiful. I know this isn't really Microsoft Flight Simulator material, but I don't think that the DCS graphics are too bad. This is a good demonstration on how to recover from a dive. See how smooth my inputs were? I don't try to force it to stop diving. By the way, I've been reading into proper flight and pilot documentation, and unless I'm very much mistaken, for VFR flight, which is what we're doing right now, we're not supposed to exceed 3000. I could be mistaken, but I think that's what it is. However, Pedro over here, in his infinite wisdom, has instructed us to climb to 4000, even 5000 if necessary. So, as a stupid little rookie, fresh off the cadet school, I'm not going to question him. And I've played this mission before, and I know that if we follow that little stream up ahead that goes into the valley, that's the right way to go. Remember, I've done this mission again with my friend Pablo, and I was in charge of navigation, so I know a thing or two about most missions. But it would be nice if Pedro was a little bit more descriptive, because since his last instruction we never got another one, which doesn't make much sense. If you guys watch the multicrew video, you'll see that we're constantly communicating about where Pablo needs to go. And that's another reason why multicrew is fun, because, you know, if you're doing a 1 hour flight or 2 hour flight or 3 hour flight and you're alone, you know, it's very normal and very natural to get bored. But if you've got a second person beside you and you're actually communicating, both for the mission, like in terms of navigation, for example, and also for, you know, general banter, stuff like that, it's nice, and the time passes by a lot easier.
Well, what do you know? He found it. I guess there is hope for you yet. Keep following this river heading west. Now that I know we're not going to get lost, I might doze off for a bit.
You hear him? You hear him how much of a cunt he is? Motherfucker, like, come on. He's like a little kid, he's like a teenager. Pedro is a teenager. I don't know how the fuck a teenager graduated cadet school, but yeah. I know hazing is a pretty big thing in military. I'm part of the Air Force of my country, so I know all about hazing. But, dude, stop being so fucking obnoxious.
Look out. Keep your distance. Separate carefully.
Look who it is. Pedro, is that you?
Hey, Daniel. Yeah, I just got my bird out of repair, along with this new guy I'm taking to base.
Fresh blood. Very nice. We're off to Tbilisi for the night. Coming back tomorrow.
Have a good flight.
Same to you, and the new guy.
Alright, so essentially we need to follow the stream that hooks to the right. Over there you can't quite see it, but maybe you can. No, I don't think you can see it just yet. Over there is Caucasus, so instead of following his stupid instructions, I'm just gonna cut through a little bit. Oops, we fell below 4,000. I wasn't paying attention. Of course, helicopters, you know, you always need to pay attention to them. They're always quite nasty. It's very easy to lose track of your altitude and stuff like that. And all of a sudden you are very close to terrain, right? From what I know, unless I'm very much mistaken, the way things go in real aviation is that for every obstacle, like maybe an antenna, maybe a tower, maybe a mountain, for every obstacle you need to have 1,000 feet of separation, which might sound extreme, but it's there to save you in case you experience some kind of engine
I can already see the CO pouring himself a cold one. Why are we still flying? What's taking so damn long?
Yeah, shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! As I was saying, the 1,000 feet rule is there to give you time in case you experience some kind of engine failure or power failure or whatever, and you need to glide away from the obstacle, right? So the 1,000 feet clearance, although it sounds a bit extreme, is there for safety reasons. Now, to my knowledge, not a single DCS campaign takes into consideration the real flight rules, and that's a bit of a shame. On one hand, this is the product of DCS being a combat simulation game. It's not a civilian simulation game, so actual IFR or VFR guidelines and rules are not taken into consideration. The campaign makers and mission makers, they only care about the military side of things, and it makes sense. It makes sense. DCS is again a combat simulator, a military simulator. It's not MSFS or X-Plane, right? And there's also the problem that DCS actually has very little in the way of proper procedures baked into it. So for example, they don't really give you charts. They only give you charts about the airports, but not about the airspace of the area you're flying. So Syria, Persian Gulf, Caucasus, they don't give you that. ATC is laughable in DCS. It's a huge disappointment. and there really isn't traffic as well. Like, to my knowledge, maybe I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, there is no script or mode or whatever like X-Plane or Microsoft to simulate airplane traffic. And so, because the missions are sterile and you don't have civilian traffic simulated, there's no reason for you to follow, proper airspace and VFR and IFR rules. And on one hand, it makes sense. Like, most of the missions, most of the campaigns, they're in war zones. If there's a war zone, civilian planes are not gonna fly into it. Obviously, they're going to go around, you know. But in the UN campaign, for example, which is not a war zone, there should be more traffic. And I know that the mission maker has baked some traffic into it. There are some airliners and some C-130s that take off or land sometimes throughout the mission. But these are also very sterile because the mission maker isn't really creating flight schedules. He's just creating small little triggers that say that when you're close to an airport, for example, a C-130 will spawn in and take off. You know, something of that effect. So yes, there is an attempt being made about simulating traffic, and I appreciate that, but it's nothing to write home about. That's definitely a runway right there, but it's not our runway. It's not the airport we're looking for. I told you there are two airports. This is the first one. We want to find the second one, which I think that's it over there. I think I've got it. And I'm pretty sure I'm seeing our FARP as well, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Almost there now. Caucasus is off to the right. The airfield is straight ahead, and our base is just to the right of it. Go ahead, straight in. What a sunset tonight. So, rookie, is my pint ready yet? We're still not landed? You are some partner.
Alright. We'll land soon enough, Pedro. Just chill out, enjoy the ride. Try to enjoy the ride, try to enjoy the beautiful sunset. Try to stop busting my balls for 5 seconds, please. Thank you. Gracias. So that's our FARP over there. I think you guys can see it now. That's Caucasus Airport. Alright, and I'm trying to identify any sort of obstacles in our FARP. I see the power lines. Not a lot of trees. It's mainly the power lines we've got to worry about, so we need to approach from either the west or the south. An approach from the north is not advised because of the power lines. I think that's the C-130 I was talking about. So you can see a little bit of traffic going on, but...
Madrid, Springfield 2, request landing.
Springfield 2, Madrid, clear to land, winds 280, 7 meters per second. You are second after flight 147. Copy.
Copy, winds 280, 7 meters a second, second after 147. Hey, Rook, you see those two Hinds to the right? We should let them go first.
What are they doing here?
It's a Ukrainian detachment. They are part of our squadron. If someone needs a big, scary chopper flying overhead to feel more secure, we send in the Ukrainians.
So you heard the man. We need to let the Ukrainian Hinds land first. And if you've watched the first COP mission, you should already know that. Why are they not approaching though? Are they doing a pattern? Maybe they are. Gonna follow them around. Okay, so they are turning. I don't know what the number 2 is doing. He's behaving like a bot. I mean, he is a bot, but yeah. The thing he did with climbing up made zero fucking sense. It's good to see, by the way, that they are avoiding the approach from the north to avoid the power lines. What's the other thing over there? Another airplane taking off from Caucasus airport. So yeah, that's always nice when it happens. It's always nice when the missions are not sterile, but are in fact populated by other flights and other kind of traffic. Because again, this is not a war zone. There's no reason for airplanes to not take off from Georgian airports or land on them. And even in a war zone, you'd still expect to see military cargo airplanes like C-130s or tankers, you know, stuff like that. And it's getting a bit dark. We should be using our lights right now, but fuck it, I'm too lazy to do it. Okay, have they landed yet? No. Let's slow down our approach. There's no reason to hurry if they don't land.
Finally, our base. Land on the helipad. Ours will be the second one, next to the Heinz. Careful now. Don't make me sweat. Try not to blow those tents off. You see the lights below? People are having dinner already, with wine, I bet. And I'm still here sober. Hurry it up.
Shut up. Oh, we hit the dirt part. We almost flipped over. That was close. And touchdown.
Thank the Virgin Mary. We have arrived. Spool down the engine and double time it to the CO's tent to report in.
Thank the Virgin Mary. Alright, so standard procedure is to let the engine cool down for I believe 2 minutes or something like that. And I'm just gonna take the time to just debrief you essentially. So this is the conclusion of our beautiful little afternoon flight in Georgia from Tbilisi to Kutaisi. I hope you enjoyed. Obviously, if you've seen this video before in the co-op / multi-crew video, I'm sorry to post the video, to post the same video 2 times, but it is what it is. Please do be excited for the upcoming missions in this campaign. The next ones are going to be very similar as well in terms of just being, for the most part, just transport flights. But sooner rather than later, we're gonna get some real action, aren't we, Pedro? Yeah, we are. We are gonna get some real action. So let's turn off the Huey. Right now, throttle is idle. Cut the fuel. So yeah, this has been it. I hope you guys found some kind of enjoyment in it. Tingu signing out, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.